Hello world, you're watching 80s Music Twin Ranked. I'm Joel.
And I'm Chris.
And today's artist, obviously you can see by the board.
It's a duet. It's Duran and Duran.
Nobody on the band named Duran, but there are 3 Taylors. So it should be Taylor.
And they're all not related. Roger, John, and Andy.
That's kind of funny. So, put Chris on the spot. He said I could. Explain yourself. I'll explain to you first what that means. So,
Joel gave me a list of over 100 bands.
Over 100 bands way back when we first started.
And that's how we are doing these. That's our order.
Both of ours combined and we
average. And so,
my number 1, Duran Duran.
Yeah.
You don't even have them in the top 25.
Well, I gave you my second 25, and they still weren't on there, and you're like, what the heck?
And you changed
so I changed it. I made them 26.
Does anybody out there really think Duran Duran isn't even in the top 50 when it comes to 80 bands?
So well, there's my explaining myself is he bullied me.
So the reason we're doing it at the 10th band is because I made you.
Yeah, you made me.
Other words, it'd be a few more months before I actually hit Duran Duran. That's your explanation.
Yeah, that's actually, you bullied me.
All right. Why don't you like Duran Duran? That'd be my question.
It's not that I don't like them. I just said, they're not my favorite. You know, again, you gave me this list this past year.
Right.
And so if you gave me a list in the 80s, it would have been different. So...
Yeah, and obviously I rank my bands differently than yours. I was thorough about it. Taking top 10 songs from every band and then re-ranking those songs. And you probably, here is your list, rush judgment. So there you go. So when you don't think about it, then you make wrong choices. Okay, anyways, to Duran Duran. I like Duran. I like the things about Duran Duran. Knowing that when we're taking their hits, a lot of these hits of theirs don't come from a studio album, which is odd, and some of them even outside of Duran Duran. We'll get to that when we do that.
Okay.
When I say that,
I think I know where you're going with that because I don't know the top 10 at the moment, but
yeah. Now Duran, we just did the Rolling Stones a few weeks back, and they were part of the British invasion.
Right.
Okay, and believe it or not,
I said they might be a second British invasion, but I was wrong.
It was wrong. Rolling Stones and Beatles came around the same time. That's surprising.
Duran Duran is part of the second.
They're part of the second wave in the '80s, and good luck.
I looked at a list of the bands that were part of that group. I'm like, One Hit Wonder.
Right, so Duran Duran's the only. They would be at the top for sure because nobody knows any of the others, right?
I saw one of the band members here wrote a song. I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank what song it was. It was a weird name. The group was a weird name.
So, interestingly, they're also called the Fab Five because they came over as a group of
without
five.
the media.
And they're obviously MTV, big influence on them, obviously.
Yeah.
You got Pretty Boys, and they actually played instruments. I think originally I didn't think they played instruments because their music was so different. You know, new wave is what they're called.
Right, yeah.
But they played instrument. Obviously, you can hear like "Hungry Like a Wolf" and Rio, and you can hear the drums on it. But Nick Rhodes playing his keyboards, it doesn't sound like normal keyboards that you're thinking of. Yeah. And you know, I like the bass. Like when you hear the bing, you can actually hear one note come out. So it's a little bit different band. That's why I like them. That's one of the
they were definitely during pop synth.
Yes, definitely
time. So,
and it's one of the bands that I've definitely re-listened to their albums over and over. I don't think
you own any. I
don't think I owned any.
I know our sister owned Seven
and
the Ragged Tiger.
I didn't own any. I actually did own a cassette that had all the James Bond songs on them, which would have had "A View to a Kill" on it.
Okay, yeah,
but not a Duran Duran song.
Right.
Now, so they would have started back in...
Well, they were formed in 1978. But they didn't have Simon Le Bon until the...
And they would... So none of their albums prior to Simon Le Bon are on the market that I know of.
Yeah.
Whoever the original singer was.
Right.
But 1981's first one we know about, and it's got the 2 hits. Didn't chart. neither hit charted. Planet Earth,
Yeah,
Girls on Film did not chart.
self-titled debut, so it's got their band name, which they took from the movie Barbarella with Jane Fonda.
Yes.
They took the Dr. Duran Duran,
Yes.
and they made that their name.
Drop the D. It's not even the same spelling.
So I want to know which member in that band watched Barbarella and was a fan.
Yeah, I think I tried watching that movie. It's not a good movie.
Yeah, it's not.
Anyway, so, and why they
But
doubled
it's got a cult following.
his name, and the guy's name wasn't Duran Duran. It was one Durand, but they put Duran Duran. Why, I don't know. So,
yeah, their name should have had Taylor in it, actually.
Duran Taylor.
T3 or something like that.
So they're called the Fab Five when they first came over, and they've had 14 studio albums. They've got another studio album actually coming out next month called Future Past. Just next month. It's not out yet.
Yeah.
14 studio albums, but of those albums, only 4. Well, 5 if you include the live album.
Have the songs that are on our...
Yeah, but most of the hits come with the 5.
Yeah.
But only 4 of those 14 have the original 5 band members.
Right.
So it's the first 3, Duran Duran, Rio, 7 and the Ragged Tiger. They had the arena, which was live.
And
then they came back
all the way to Astronaut, right?
for Astronaut,
Yeah.
which happens to be my favorite of all the Duran Durans, because, which is funny. I used to go to the library all the time, go looking through the shelf. Oh, look at all these Duran Durans, and they're not the hit swamp makers, and so I never got them. But now I got this job where I can have YouTube up and listen to them. I listen to them all. I'm like, Astronaut's pretty good. So that's my favorite. Do you have a favorite?
You actually had me listen to Astronaut. And
I know.
I didn't care.
I know.
That's one of those, you probably have to listen to it over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think I liked the fact that all original 5 came back, and that's what they put out, and it was different, and it does have a hit. One charted here. It did really good in the UK. Nobody listened to it over here.
I would say 7 on a Ragged Tiger.
7 and the Ragged Tiger, and I actually like Rio better than 7 and the Ragged Tiger.
I thought they got a little better, just more, the quality was even better.
You'll see our hits.
Yeah.
Rio is. So they have a hit on called The Chauffeur on Rio.
Right.
It's considered their best song outside of their hits.
Okay.
And I actually disagree. It's a very weird sounding song, but that's not true for me. I like The Finest Hour from Astronaut. And if you listen to the lyrics, it sounds like a fight if you're a Christian song. Fight for what we believe. That's what it says in it. Anyways, back to the history. So that you see the first 3, and we already said what the 5 are. So, in 1985, the best thing with music does not have a Duran Duran album. But it has their number 1 song that you and I both agree.
Yeah.
It's the second time we agree on the number 1 song for a group. And it's also a movie that came out in 1985. So the first one was obviously Back to the Future from Curious in the News.
And
Power of Love, and that would have been 1985. Best movie that year. And here's Duran Duran, best song of 1985 for them. Crappy movie.
Well,
but it probably is better than a lot of movies that we put out today.
Are we waiting at a top 10 to even reveal what it is?
Oh, did I not say what it was?
No, but I mean, people are already gonna know it's top 1, and we can bring it up now.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can say it's our number 1. Yeah, well,
If you to a kill, yeah.
It's View to a Kill.
James Bond.
James
film.
Bond, yeah.
I would consider the worst James Bond film out there.
Right.
I'm not very fond of Daniel Craig. I actually like Roger Moore better than Sean Connery. Most people like Sean Connery better. But I think
we grew up with Roger Moore.
That's probably why. But if you watch him, I mean, his movies are definitely more campy.
And just like we're doing now, there's another one. We said about Saturday Night Live cast last week. We're doing 80s music over other music. We do James Bond rankings too. Yeah. So I like Pierce Brosnan better than Daniel Craig. I slightly like Roger Moore better.
Goldeneye was good, but then you got Die Another Day was horrible.
Yeah,
The editing
that's
is
why.
crap, and oh my
That's
gosh.
why. Yeah, that's why you put him below Roger Moore. I think.
Yeah, but you know that was their only #1 hit, A View to a Kill? I mean, the only one that reached #1 in the US.
I believe so.
Yeah, and also I would consider it
I'll
the
look
best
for you.
James Bond movie theme.
No, you know what? The Reflex
Oh, did
is a
it?
#1 song.
Speaking of Reflex, Weird Al. I told,
And if we're hitting a bunch where all they doing was on those Hooked on Polkas, right?
it was the song "Hooked on Polka"
Right. Oh,
from Dare to Be Stupid.
And
which
it would have had-
you own that album, right? You own Dare to Be Stupid.
No, I did not own.
I thought you did.
No, I didn't own it.
You owned one.
I did not own. Oh yeah, I did. The one with
With
Smells
the
Like
one,
Nirvana.
the one with the
Right.
baby in the water.
Yes, that's the one. So this. and
Well,
I-
what's funny about the
I don't know which
Hooked on
polka
Polka,
thing,
this,
yeah.
the song Hooked on Polka is where he does a lot of songs into the one polka, and he only does it's funny because that certain song has METHOD, which we just did last week.
right.
It has Sharp Dressed Man from ZZ Top, which we've done.
Okay.
And it has the Reflex, but it doesn't do the chorus. It does.
It would have done the part.
Right,
Right,
yeah,
because
it does
that's,
that part.
that's the weird thing that Simon Le Bon did with that one song. Why, yeah.
That's
So yeah, Weird Al has to take something weird like that, and maybe
Yeah.
there's not a
But
particular song.
I would consider A View to a Kill, back to that, the best James Bond theme from the movie. If there's another one that's close to it, I would say it's probably Live and Let Die, Paul McCartney. Anyway.
So I was saying, you look at 1985, they don't put an album out. Top song, but I also have over there Others. And that's where Duran Duran broke off. And,
Right.
and they're like touching lots of things in 1985.
Right, so two of the members broke off to form with
Power
Robert
Station
Palmer
with
and
Robert
Tony
Palmer.
Thompson.
Correct.
Power Station. They had two. They had to put 3 out, but they had 2 hits.
And that would have been Andy Taylor and
Roger Taylor.
No, Roger Taylor went to
Oh, okay. No, Roger Taylor actually did both bands. I saw. He did
John. So
drums.
John Taylor and Andy Taylor would have went in Power Station. But
Yeah.
Roger Taylor, even though Tony,
The big drummer was
Tony Thompson,
Roger
but
Taylor
he did
do
some percussion
Yes.
instruments. Yes. Okay, so then the other 3 went the other way with one album called So Red the Rose from a band called Arcadia.
Yeah.
A trio, which we
which
didn't
was
mention when
still
we were
Duran
mentioning
Duran.
trios. Now, Simon Le Bon, he doesn't play an instrument.
But it was only
Now you can't
one
have,
album, so.
you can't have a trio where one doesn't play an instrument, one's a drummer. What, the other guy's playing every instrument? No, they had to obviously bring in the others. Now,
bring in
what I
some-
like about Arcadia, okay, so on that, I think it's on their best song, Election Day. They have Grace Jones. She's a singer too, not just an actress.
Yeah.
And she happened to be one of the villain's sidekick in A View to a Kill.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that was intentional, right?
Maybe.
You would hope.
Yeah.
But also, touching on other movies, there's a movie called American Anthem, and it's got a song by John Taylor, right?
Called Take It Easy,
Take It Easy.
not the Eagles.
And you really like that.
Yeah, I did.
And tell them why you like that.
Why? Oh, okay. So it has a guitar part. It's not why I like it. I like
Oh,
the
okay.
song in general, but he explained in an interview that the guitar part is the same as
Something Like It Hot.
Something Like It Hot. Yeah,
From
same
Power
from
Station.
Power Station.
And I didn't know that when I listened to the song.
It's a different key.
I
but
like that. I still-
he's the guitarist, so he can plagiarize himself.
I guess I don't. Speaking of plagiarism, so another veer off of 1985. So Power Station has Robert Palmer.
Right.
The exact same year, Robert Palmer puts out Riptide later
Right.
in the year, and Power Station says, "Hey, that sounds too much like Power Station." And wouldn't Andy Taylor is actually on the album? It's like, what are you complaining about? You're actually on the album too. He plays the guitar solo
Yeah.
in "Addicted to Love."
Of course,
It's
they
like,
sound the same. It's the same singer.
same singer. Yeah, when you have, just like Steve Perry goes off and does a solo career, it's going to sound the same because he's singing on both albums. Yeah,
The other one is Bang a Gong.
right. Which was a
Which
T-Rex.
one starts with the drums? That Bang a Gong. Da 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 da
Yeah,
Is that bang?
I'm pretty sure that's
Hey.
Bang a Gong.
That sounds so close. I think the drums sound close to A View to Kill.
Maybe.
They sound the same.
But
the
that's not
drums
Roger Taylor doing it.
No,
Unless-
no, but I
although he's
think-
on that, maybe that is him doing it. Okay, so one more movie thing, and it came the following year, and that's okay. So we just did John Taylor doing Take It Easy. Andy Taylor went and did his own, and both of their songs were in the top 40, so they were ranked songs. He did a song, I can't remember the title, Do What You Do or something like that, from 9.5 Weeks with Mickey Rourke and Mason
Mason,
there. And that's a totally dumb song. I've tried listening to it, and it's really
It's a dumb movie too.
probably. And then, so the next year after that, well, '86 is the same year that so Andy Taylor did his thing, but they also put out Notorious, which Andy has a lesser part in it, I think, and Roger Taylor's not even the drummer in it. So he leaves. He retired apparently from music for a while until the group formed back again for Astronaut. He didn't go on anybody else's music. He just said, "I'm retired," and that's what we would do, right? Get your money, retire. We already said that. So Notorious comes out. It has the one popular self-titled song, and then from there it went downhill. Except they put out a decade song to, hey, our fame is fading. Let's put out our greatest hits now. Then Liberty comes out, nothing, no hits whatsoever, right? And we miraculously changed the board behind us. So they had nothing on that Liberty album.
Right.
And they, like almost a decade after their last good album. Well, maybe not quite that much. 86 to 93 is only 7 years. Come back, it's like a comeback album, right? Second Duran Duran titled album, but it's known as the Wedding Album.
Right. And it's got two of my songs. I put both of them on the top 10.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did.
Come Undone and The Ordinary World. I liked them both.
Yeah.
They're just different from the previous
And
sounding.
Why Too Much Information didn't also rank higher than it did? It did rank just not as high as it could.
I thought I saw on Wikipedia it said they put like 5 or 6 songs out.
I didn't. I listened to the whole thing. I've not heard anything else.
I only remember those two on the radio. So.
Yeah. Well, Too Much Information. Did that have a video? I know the other two did.
Yeah, it did.
Okay. So then they go the route of a lot of these bands. Thank You, which is a cover album, nothing but cover songs. They actually, if you listen to one hit, they put the one hit they have from that album is called White Lies. It's from a black hip hop group, I think, who might actually sing in it too with them. But it's actually a pretty cool song, and then you realize it's a cover song, you're like, And then they had the horrible Medazzaland, and then they put out a second greatest hits, right? One called Decade, for the main hits they're known for. And because the Wedding Album did so good, they had to redo it with those hits on it as well, right? And then from there, Pop Trash, which is exactly how the album title sounds. It's trash. My favorite album, and then the rest.
And which one had, there was one, Reach for the Stars?
That's Astronaut. Reach Up for the Sunrise. And All You Need Is Now is actually a pretty cool video too. I like how cool Simon Le Bon looks in that one. With considering how old, considering how old he is. I mean, you're talking 30 years, 25 years after their heyday. I like that song too. All You Need Is Now. But there you go. And then one more coming next month. Who knows if that'll be any good.
But it's not their original lineup anymore, though.
Right. I think the drummer who replaced Roger Taylor is from a group called Missing Persons.
Yeah.
I forgot about that group, and I went back. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that video playing on MTV all the time. Weird.
It just came to me with the song. I believe it was Andy Taylor who wrote it. Too Shy. Too Shy.
He wrote that.
Well, he wrote that for
Okay.
the group that I couldn't remember.
Kasha Gugu.
Yes. How's it good, right there? Yeah, that was it. It just popped into my head.
Another one-hit wonder. We should do a list of one-hit wonders eventually. Okay, so there's your history of Duran Duran. Still think without an album, 1985 is their best because they were doing all sorts of things. Imagine being part of Riptide, the View to a Kill soundtrack song, and Power Station. plus Arcadia. There's, I mean, 4 separate albums you have a part in. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
In 1 year without having an album of your own.
Yeah.
So that's why I rank Duran Duran high. So, and I forgot to check. Now we listed 3 movies they had their hand in. You and I don't recall if they ever did anything in movies.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the fact that it's kind of cool. So, View to a Kill has a corny video, MTV video.
Yeah, and they're not all on the same team. They're playing against each other.
Yeah, they're against each other. But I like the fact that he could do that line.
Oh, Bond.
What's your name, Bond? Simon Le Bon.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, how cool is that?
Bond, James Bond thing. Yeah.
So there you go. And now it's on to the top 10.
Top 10!
Top 10. Starting with honorable mentions.
Of course.
The songs that one of us likes,
Yes.
the other doesn't.
So, every time we do these stuff and you say honorable mentions, do you watch Mojo a lot?
I do. I think that's why
she's always like,
she
and
does
here's
say
the
that.
honorable mentions.
She
In
does-
this case,
She doesn't.
dishonorable
She
mentions
doesn't
if they're
always
worse.
say that.
Yeah.
She doesn't always have an honorable mention, and it's not always a woman either. So,
Yeah.
anyways, but yes, I
But,
I don't watch it anymore, but I used to.
Okay.
Okay, so the ones that didn't make it, even though one of us wish it would. Okay, starting with me. This time I only had one song that disappeared from the list. You had 2.
There you go. Yeah.
So the one that
Obvious reasons why, because I had it at 26.
right. So the one song that I would have put in the top 10 came from that Arena album, The Wild Boys. Video,
Okay.
and that better video than A View to a Kill, I say. And it reminds me of the Rick Springfield video for Pop Till You Drop. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
So, and I think this is the one where Simon Le Bon is strapped to that wheel thing that's dipping him underwater every so often. How do you sing when you're underwater?
I did not like the music, and it seemed like minimal music.
Maybe.
Let's do it again, but I'm pretty sure I didn't like the music behind it.
Okay. Yeah, but I like it. And the 2 that you like, you surprised me by putting Take It Easy up there. But he's playing, it's like something like how you played it for me. I'm like, yeah, that does have the beat.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even sound British. They're all British, but in that song he sounds like an American guy. Came from Nashville.
He had to, because wasn't the movie called American Anthem?
Yeah.
So he had to sound American.
Right, so, hey, we got a movie called American Anthem. Go get a British singer to sing the title song. Weird.
Yeah.
Of course, it's kind of funny because there are, like, even Phil Collins, he's British.
Yeah.
And most of his songs, apparently when you sing instead of talk, it sounds more American.
Yeah, you can.
So-
A lot of people do that. When you sing, you can understand them. Then they talk, you're like, oh, what?
Except for Mick Jagger, right? He sings, you're like, speak English.
Celine Dion, she's French. She's from Canada. She's French.
Okay.
She had to learn English.
Yeah.
She didn't know English.
Yeah, so your other song that made the top 10, and this actually surprised me because I said, listen to Astronaut, you did, and you don't like it like I do, but you got this in your top 10, it's What Happens Tomorrow. And that's actually, I like that video too, where they're looking at stars and the band's
Oh,
actually
I thought it sounded cool.
It does. That's a lot of the. I like a lot of those songs on that album. Now I told you Chauffeur was their top hit outside of their hits. The song that people like them to play, even though it never ranked. Mine is Finest Hour. I told you that, and that's on Astronaut. But they also got a song called Nice, and it's supposed to be a really cool, good crowd pleaser at a concert. This would be a good band to see in concert. Maybe not now. They're hating.
They were still going. They wanted to put an album out, and then they couldn't get a record label to back them. So to prove the record label was wrong, they went on tour, and they were selling out all over the place, showing they can.
If they want
You know, people will buy our albums. They were thinking, the record labels were thinking they won't sell as good like they used
if
to.
if they did it themselves, they're all rich, right? Why
Yeah,
can't they
just
do
produce it themselves. Yeah.
Honestly, Steve Perry did it and put a
Yeah.
good album out.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so to the actual 10. All right, and at number 10, I have this song at number 9. You have this as 13. So just similar to Wild Boys, you apparently don't like this either, but
You brought it up. Okay.
I brought it up. This would be Union of the Snake. Now, I'll tell you, this is on the same out. This is on Seven and the Ragged Tiger. The one song of that album that didn't make our top 10 or honorable mention is New Moon on Monday. That song, I don't know that I remember hearing that on the radio, maybe. What song would you want to hear on the radio there, Buzz?
I'd like to hear the Reflex, or even if you didn't kill, they never play it.
I hear the Reflex.
I never hear the Reflex.
I would want to hear, Is There Something You Should Know? That's the one song I remember first on MTV.
That was a re-release. They re-released an album and they added that song to it.
Yes. Yeah, that's why when I originally stated they have songs all over the place, so we have all these 1985 songs that weren't on one of their studio albums. And then you got Wild Boys was on a live album, and Is There Something You Should Know wasn't even on an album. It's like it got added later. So that's why they had to put out Decade. So make sure it was on an album, the greatest hits later on. Okay, so that was number 10, Union of the Snake. And then number 9, I have this as 12. You have this as 5. This is on the Wedding album. This is Come Undone. Nothing spectacular about that song.
There's a video like they show a lot of underwater scenes. I think there's a mermaid in the video.
Yeah, because there's a woman's voice in the song, so they have to put her somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, number 8. I have this at number 10. You have this at number 6. Notorious. Quite possibly. No. Yeah, she is. This might be the
This
last...
surprised me. In my memory, I always thought Notorious was Arcadia.
Yeah. Well, when you look at the album cover,
Right.
even though they're down to 4, only 3 of them appear on the cover.
Right.
So it's like they were heading that way. And it might be no, it's not the 3 people from Arcadia, because Roger Taylor is not on that, and he was in Arcadia. Okay, so Notorious. And next one up. This would be number 7. I have this at number 4. You have this at number 9 is Reach Up for the Sunrise. Now, this would be the one I want to hear. I mean, that song never plays on the radio. I would love to hear this one on the radio because it was big in the UK, not in the US, even though it did rank on the top 100 chart, but it was somewhere in the 70s.
Yeah, if they put it out now, you'd think it'd rank.
Now, I have heard it recently.
I think it sounds better than everything from their first 5 albums. I think it sounds better than Rio and Hungry Like the Wolf, even though I didn't rank it.
Well, I rank this Hungry Like the Wolf. I still put ahead of this, and that one I just said. Is there something I should know?
What did I have that at?
You had this at number 9.
Okay.
So I'm not even sure if you had What Happens Tomorrow. Probably after it. Very close. 9 and 10 of yours are both.
I like the sound better, but I didn't. So I hadn't heard it that much.
So I've never
That's
heard.
probably why I heard Wreck the Other
I have
songs
never
higher.
heard this on the radio, but I was at Cedar Point recently, at the bumper cars, and each little thing that you're at plays their own music.
Yeah.
I heard "Reach Up for the Sunrise" there, of all places. And then I used to watch my kids when my kids were younger, about 5 or 6 years ago. We were into Teen Titans Go. Okay. And the character Cyborg has a specific song that he likes. The Night Begins to Shine. If you watch that TV show, you know what it is. I say Reach Up for the Sunrise is eerily similar to that. This one came first, so it's not exact, but it's got similarities. I'm like, they stole it. It's another one. Okay, so back to the list. Number 6. Is that one that wasn't on an album? Is There Something I Should Know? I have this at number 2. That's how high I like it. And so you know my top 2 already because we already what our number 1 is. And you have this outside, number 11. So but mine's all the way up to 6. And it's, to me, this has the best line of any of their songs. You're about as easy as the nuclear war. I love that line. What's your favorite line in the song? Okay, number 5, coming from 7 and the Ragged Tiger, this would be the Reflex. I have this at number 5. You have this at number 7.
Yeah. I tried to find there's a clip. I remember there's a movie called Corky Romano
Yes, I've seen it.
with Chris Kattan.
It's bad.
I know, but I never seen the movie.
Okay.
But I do remember the trailer, and he's in the back seat of a car, and he's
And
like, "Oh, I love this song." The Reflex.
Yeah.
Yeah, the clip is not on YouTube. I was
Okay.
looking for it just to watch that specific.
Now, talk about that video. That if you go back rewatch that video, it's got the dumbest special effect when the water comes out of the screen behind them.
Oh, okay.
It's so fake. And then the people actually get wet, so somebody had to throw water on them in the crowd. But the water was fake coming out of the screen. Okay, number 4 from the Wedding album. This would be the one that brought him back to pop status again. Ordinary World. I have this at 6. You have this at 4. And that one sounds different. I think that's what brought it back. Is it was a good song and it didn't sound like anything they had previously done.
It's got that guitar.
Yeah.
And Come Undone's a bass.
Now it's considered the Wedding album. Do you happen to know if
I have no idea why.
if the pictures are on anybody they know? I don't know. Okay. Number 3, Rio. I have this at number 7. You have this at number 3. So you just said, reach up for the side.
I like the sound better,
Oh,
but
okay.
that obviously it's iconic.
Now I'll tell you what. Here's another thing.
It's their better hits.
When I hear that song, it makes me realize there was more instruments back in the 80s. There are a lot of songs that have saxophone solos. This is one of them. Right? So one of the guys obviously knows how to play saxophone too. I can't remember who it is. But, so we'll do top 10 on saxophone songs from the 80s. It's a lot. Hall & Oates had one, right? Billy Joel had one. Obviously Phil Collins had one.
The quarter flash in there.
Well, not the ones we don't like.
No, I was just saying.
Just because it's a saxophone.
You might have to pick a couple because you're like, oh, we have 8 songs.
Even Bruce Springsteen, Dancing in the Dark, that has a Clarence Clemens saxophone solo, So, okay, number 2 comes from the same album, Rio. It's obviously the one that I think this one probably brought them up to iconic status on MTV. Hungry Like the Wolf. I have this at number 3, you have this at number 2. So I have this, this is something you should know, and then this one. So, and I think the reason I like might be my favorite video of theirs.
Yeah, so Hungry Like a Wolf definitely came, the video came after the movie.
Yeah, so Raiders of the Lost Ark was 1981, I just looked. It came from Rio, so it makes it 1982.
Right, but there's nothing about that video that looks, the only thing that looks like Raiders of the Lost Ark is maybe his outfit. That's it.
He is in a...
When was Indiana Jones running through the woods
in the beginning scene, I think that's what it's,
Yeah, okay.
In the beginning scene when they're heading towards that thing. And,
Blade! Start your Blade!
I think, well, did he have Indians chasing him?
No.
But so, and obviously he wasn't going after an idol, he was looking for a woman.
Yeah.
But that I think that's the reason they got popular, because they had this cool image and they grabbed a cool movie and put that with their cool image. So, and that was number 2.
Raiders of the Lost Ark was #1 movie
of the year. Yes, it was the #1 movie of the year. And that one didn't have any songs that we could talk about, right? Raiders of the Lost didn't have a pop song in it. Right?
No, it just had a great soundtrack.
Very good soundtrack. Yes. Okay, number 1. We revealed already, so I can't do that again. It's A View to a Kill. And their best James Bond song. Again, we'll have to do it. We'll do another list, and this will again be our top song.
Top 10. Would we do top 10 or just rank every song they have?
I want to rank them all. There are 20 movies, right?
26, at least
something like that.
You don't want to put Goldfinger in there.
And you know what? When it comes to James Bond, our parents actually had the record for
I
Russia
like that record.
With Love, and I like listening to those songs, even though it was obviously an orchestra, the timpani and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All those kind of cool songs. Yes. So, A View to a Kill is our #1 song. There you have it. Do you disagree with us? Agree with us? What's your favorite Duran Duran song?
Do you even know who Duran Duran is?
You should. You wanted to mention Scott Kramer again, right?
Oh yeah. Okay, we were watching this guy named Scott Kramer. I said that's part of the reason we started doing these podcasts. somebody called if we do videos on YouTube,
Yes.
some people are like, oh, hey, they got a podcast. I'm like, is this podcast?
So
Really?
this guy Scott Kramer, he has a friend, and they sit down and they're doing this
Might have been his brother.
one hit wonders.
Might have been his brother.
One hit wonders.
Right, and they put Duran Duran on that 'cause they didn't
Hungry Like a
realize-
Wolf, because again, radio stations, you're only playing one song of theirs.
Yeah.
So obviously people today think they're a one hit wonder because that's all they ever hear.
Yeah,
from
well,
them.
they had several songs on
Yes.
there. Where I'm like, Twisted Sister, they had on there, and I'm like, they had 2 hits. They're not one hit
I know.
wonder.
Yeah, well, if you look at his chart,
Yeah.
most of them probably were not one
Yeah,
hit
and
wonders.
well, the problem is not
It's-
them.
it's-
It was where they went to get them.
Right.
If you go on YouTube or the internet in general and put one hit wonders, you'll find people have lists, and the people are idiots because they don't do their homework. They
Yeah.
have songs on there.
And he
that-
most of the time he does his research before he does his videos, but I'm not that time.
yeah.
And so he was corrected in all comments below. Duran Duran's not one hit wonder. As a matter of fact, I think they have
30, 23 maybe? Something like that.
yeah, it's up there. But I mean, just of their original, all the way till you get to Notorious, there's at least 10 top 15 hits. I mean, they were in the top 20 or better.
Right.
And there's at least 10 of them. So you can't, yeah. And then we just said there's 2 #1 hits, the Reflex and the View to a Kill. You're already
Now,
disqualified.
there are bands where I'd be like, look at a 70s, go, oh yeah, they're probably a one hit wonder. Somebody that lived in the 70s, or, they grew up and loved those bands, but like, they had like 5 hits, what are you talking about? Well, you're the one.
Yeah, Dire Straits, anybody? I don't know. Anyways, so next week, we're going to do several videos, I think.
Probably 3.
3?
Maybe 3.
Yes.
We'll see.
Because it comes
We have one band that's separated into 2 bands.
That's it.
Pretty much.
To me, they're if you divide them by down the middle, they separated into 2 separate and distinct bands. Even though they called themselves, it would have been cool if they actually, when they got the second singer, called themselves something else.
Yeah, they did.
Because they could have. I remember reading it in a magazine. Now the band, you want to do a celebration?
Well,
So-
I think they'd probably guess by
Okay, now we'll reveal it's Van Halen, right? So when you have David Lee Roth, you've got a distinct sound, and then he leaves and Sammy Hagar comes in, you have another distinct sound. They don't sound like each
Right,
other.
but they have just as many hits on
they-
both sides.
Yeah, Hagar has slightly more hits, only slightly. And why they tried to continue after he left is beyond me. But I saw in a magazine, I wish Van Halen would have named the second version Van Hagar. I saw that in a magazine. That would have been so cool.
Yeah.
And it would have been separate. Everybody would have known who that was. But yeah, that's my opinion. But that's our next band. What we're going to do is them separately.
We're going to do top 10 David Lee Roth hits with them, top 10 Sammy Hagar hits with them.
And then we're going to do a
top 10 combined.
top 20. We're going to do a top 20 combined. And you're going to see it's funny. Because when you just pull David Lee Roth's out, the list changes from when you have them combined.
Right.
Because you're whittling some of these groupings of 3 will make the other list different. So we'll do
we
a
can
top
also,
20.
and I don't know if you wanted to do this, but David Lee Roth had a solo career.
They both-
We could add in there. Put that. We can put
I
later.
think we're going to do that later.
Okay.
Individually. So
Yeah.
because even those don't sound like either one sounds like when they were with their Van Halen versions. So
Yeah.
we'll make them separate. Because we're obviously doing Phil Collins and Genesis separate,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we'll do the same thing with that. But that's next week, Van Halen 1, 2, and 3. Till then, we'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.